ones, no phonies. My life real sweet like Tony Montana.
So we have my panelists here. As always, this is me, myself. It's a Muslim. Next to me, I have the great LotusTile, aka Black Belichick.
How's it going, guys?
To my left, I have Scuba Steve. You've seen him on Fortnite with me.
What's up, guys?
And all the way from Maryland, we got the real sports guru.
What's good? What's good,
that's
people?
That's a questionable name, though. Are you the real sports guru? Or are you the real sports guru?
I didn't know that. I guess is this the first question?
Nah, just kidding. How's it going, sports guru? How's it going?
Oh, it's great. Life's good.
Man, I'm glad all you guys are doing well. Start off this show today. I would like to, all of us, if we can, just have a moment of silence. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those affected at the Tree of Life Synagogue, Squirrel Hill. So,
Yeah, for sure. Thoughts and prayers.
all right, may the Lord help those who are affected and help the families and help them gain patience. So let's start this off, man. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, He brought us all here together, brought you guys here to watch us. So, yeah, here we go. It's the spiel. We're going to talk about our, the sports topics, most present topics today. So, let's start off with a big championship in Boston. Boston Red Sox win World Series over the Dodgers 4-1. They've won, over the past 10, 20 years of Boston as a city as a whole, not just the Red Sox, but all their sports teams have, found some sort of success. You guys have any, quick, thoughts about what happened last night?
I think that it's the craziest part about it is just the fact that Steve Pearce, another former Pittsburgh Pirate who no one would have expected, won the World Series MVP. I feel like that's the only thing that people didn't see coming. It was a Boston team that won 108 games during the regular season and just looked even better in the playoffs, just rolling through the Yankees and last year's World Series champions, the Astros, only losing one game in those series, and then only losing one game to the Dodgers. I mean, it was really just a mismatch with all that power and all that talent in the Red Sox lineup, all that pitching. It was just a perfect storm for them, and now they're 4-0 this century in the World Series. So once they get there, after 84 years of suffering and losing, or I believe it was 84 years until they got that win, but it seems like they're on the other side of things this century.
I definitely thought that the World Series was a decently interesting series. I would say a little bit compelling, mainly because I play fantasy baseball and I got a ton of Dodgers on my team, so I was kind of rooting for the Dodgers. I thought it was. I mean, the coolest thing was that Game 3 went 18 innings, two full games of baseball was played, and it was just a showcase on pitching the entire time. I mean, the fact that Chris Sale was the first pitcher since 1945 that pitched the first out and the last out in the World Series is pretty cool. But other than that, I mean, I'd rather watch basketball. Season just started.
Yeah, I think we all have to agree it was an impressive win to the series for the Boston Red Sox. As a Muslim just stated, Boston as a city has, some way always brought in championships over the past, since the turn of the century. They just somehow keep bringing it in. Red Sox, this was somewhat of a process, even though they have been winning championships in this past decade as well. You see the players that they've been able to bring in over this time. Even in their winning, they think they were on like a 6-year playoff drought before going back, and that got them a berth into the World Series and winning. But once again, to see two big city baseball teams make it to the series was pretty entertaining. Very high scoring for the most part. But you saw the dominance of the Red Sox, and I mean, this was a dynasty pretty much, in the making. And I think they can win more championships if they are able to keep everything in house.
All right, well, let's move on to the NFL. And the big news coming out on Monday was the Cleveland Browns, they fired Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley after Sunday's loss to the Steelers. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Hey, Guru, you guys need an offensive coordinator?
For sure. Come on, Haley, bring him over.
This somewhat surprising, but at the same time, I don't think I was too surprised by it. I was pretty high on the Browns coming in this season. There was a lot of changes, a lot of defensive talent brought in. I really liked Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, controlling the offense. But as we saw over the course of the season, their offense seems pretty stagnant. They can't really do more outside of Jarvis Landry. And even Jarvis Landry, last game his stat line was 8 catches, 39 yards. If that's your best receiver and that's what he's putting up, you're not going to win many games. And when they had Carlos Hyde, I would say Nick Chubb is probably slightly more explosive, and they weren't getting that guy the ball and, was making their offense very stagnant. In terms of the firings, I wasn't too surprised that Williams wasn't fired. That defense has been playing very strong. If anything, that's the reason why they've been competitive and in games. So I wasn't surprised that he was not fired. From what I've been hearing coming out that locker room, it seemed like there was just a lot of discord between these vibrant personalities. Hugh Jackson is a very vibrant personality. Greg Williams is a huge, vibrant personality. That guy, this is a guy who chewed out his young defensive star for tackling wrong and could have easily had a spinal injury. And then you have Todd Haley. Last year we heard reports of him and Ben having friction and things like that. But not surprised. I was not too surprised, but I was somewhat surprised that it happened mid-season. I thought they would probably ride this out, but hey, the Browns are trying to make changes, and they're trying to be a winning organization, like I said, in the next 2 years. So, got to do what they got to do.
Guru, are you behind us? Your thoughts, Guru?
I can't. Well, I think the Browns, they're trash. But in all honesty, I thought that the Browns were going to play a lot better than they have been playing this season. Yeah. Honestly, it had to do Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks makes everyone seem like they're going to be
they're going to be the best team this season.
Right away. It's just the camera angles. I don't know what it is, but I definitely thought they were going to play a lot better. They were in some tight games, and there were a lot of coaching errors that could have resulted in some wins and not ties. I think that there was a lot of friction between all the coaches. You could see it, honestly, in Hard Knocks. You could see there are a lot of them it seemed like they were jockeying for the head coaching job between Haley, Hugh, and Williams. I definitely see why they kept Williams, just because their defense has played very, very well, and that's going to have to be their staple until they get their offense together.
Definitely.
I don't know. They've made some weird moves offensively, getting rid of Josh Gordon, who's probably their best offensive talent outside of maybe Jarvis Landry. And also getting rid of Hyde, who had played well throughout the season, but I guess they want to get the young guys some touches. But at the same time, they haven't played up to what everyone expected them to be. So they had to make a change. They're Hugh Jackson. They're 336-1. So they weren't winning games. It wasn't like he was winning games. So you can put anybody at head coach at that point if you're gonna go 336-1. So
I'll take
I can see them making a move.
But Belichick say take the job.
I'll take the job. I'm open. I'm ready for it.
I see why you guys aren't surprised that Williams didn't get let go too, but am I the only one who's surprised that he's the head coach now, that they're giving this much power to the guy that was just involved a few years back with that Bountygate scandal in New Orleans? We've seen him on Hard Knocks every year. It seems like every year he switches teams to be the defensive coordinator of whichever team is on Hard Knocks, because it was the Rams 2 years ago. He was the star of that show. And now he's back on the Browns this year, and it was just ridiculous. It's the same thing with him every time. He's cussing out all of his players, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, it's okay to do that sometimes in this league, but really now he's the head coach, and that's who you want running the entire show. Oh my gosh, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, at least as far as the rest of the season goes for the Browns. But my question is, why, if you're going to fire Hugh Jackson now and Haley, but why now after he went 0-16 and 1-15 the year before? Why bring him back and just fire him now? I mean, they were making progress. It's not like they were getting wins, but they just lost to the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and they haven't won there in 15 or 16 years now. But did they expect to win that game? I don't know why are they being so drastic now, midway through the year. But like you guys pointed out, they're making some questionable moves, getting rid of Gordon, getting rid of Hyde. It's almost like maybe they're tanking again to get more great draft picks. I don't know, but I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens with Greg Williams these next 8 games on the sideline. I mean, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, I was shocked too, if they were going to fire Hugh, and I was expecting it at the end of the season, not midway. That's why I wasn't too shocked by it, but I was shocked that it happened, right now for sure. Because,
for sure,
just they were making progress, as you stated. They've been playing hard in these first 8 weeks. So, there was no denying that something was working, but, we were saying this was going to be probably another 2-year process before they would become a talented team to really compete with the great teams of the NFL.
I mean, the thing is, I think even if he would have made it past this week, who are they playing? They're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, this upcoming week. If they weren't able to hold them, at least make the game competitive, I think Hugh's gone anyway. Yeah. After that game. And there's probably other games on the schedule that probably would have led to that. So it seemed like it was going to inevitably happen. Mm-hmm. It looks like the organization is going to move forward. They probably should have done it last year just so they could, get a full offseason with, one regime instead of having to switch. I mean, it's not a big switch just because it's in-house. But at the same time, like, do all the players respect, the defensive coordinator on the same level as they do Hugh Jackson? But, at the end of the day, like, Todd Haley leaving as well, it seems like it was obvious why this had to happen. I think cleaning out house here is going to help the team a lot. I did say at the beginning of the season they were going to make the playoffs. Now it's looking like they don't even want to try to make the playoffs anymore. But if you look at their schedule, if you look at the teams they play, they've had quality moments where they look like they could be a playoff team.
They beat the Ravens.
They did beat the Ravens. Yeah, and they tied the Steelers at the beginning of the year when no one thought they were going to. So we'll see what happens from here. I do think Cleveland is on the rise. I think having Baker, the people on the defensive side of the ball, like the Myles Garretts of the world, are just, they're making big progress in Cleveland, and I think it's showing. I think it's not the same Cleveland Browns from, 5 years ago. Like, this is a team that has a lot more pride and is willing to, play hard, I think, to try to get that win. And they're competitive, so it's nice. So let's stay within the NFL and let's move on to something more, some eye candy. So this weekend, we were treated to 2 amazing catches. So let's see if I can get this up on.
One of them didn't count.
One of them didn't count.
It's unfortunate that one of those didn't count.
One of them didn't count.
Was it? I mean, was it pass interference?
No.
We don't.
I don't know.
So let's go ahead and let me see if I can share the screen for the viewers.
To me, that was a bad call, but there's a lot of bad calls the refs have been making all year, so
nothing new there.
Nothing new.
Nothing new at all. All right.
That's it.
So let me get this up on here. All right, you guys see it?
We see it.
Yep.
All right, let's go. This is the Odell catch.
This is the catch that put him on the map.
Right.
I mean,
not that one. This was yesterday.
Oh, you guys are talking about yesterday's. Oh, you're talking about yesterday's catch. Okay.
It's one of those tough ones for me.
Thought we were gonna show all 3. That catch was crazy.
I've actually not seen this.
But he's having a hard time finding the time. And if anyone thinks that Kyle Lauletta comes in, if indeed he
Norman wanted to swipe
Wow, that was crazy. All right, so that was the Odell catch. Let me show you guys the DeAndre Hopkins catch.
3rd down and 8.
Legend.
Such a
Stuff of legend.
What a catch.
Such a shame it did not count. Guys, tell me, where did you see pass interference? Where did you see it?
On the defense.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Xavier
Yeah,
Howard's
like,
holding like his hand. Like he's holding his hand.
If anything was on the defense.
Unbelievable.
How do you trap that, though?
Crazy.
How do you trap that? How does that ball not pop out?
I have no
I don't
idea
know.
how he did that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Speechless.
I mean,
Speechless.
I think just off of that, I feel like we know which one was the better catch. You know, I always say when I'm playing flag football, I'm DeAndre Hopkins. I'm Hop. That is the bro right there. If you ask me, even based off of his play, I know people want to say that Julio is the best. Julio is not the best. It's always AB. But second is definitely DeAndre Hopkins. Man, that guy makes amazing catches. His route running's clean. He's done it with quarterbacks that a lot of people probably can't name, off the top of their head. And, I mean, he does it year in and year out. But, man, that catch was insane. I mean, I don't know how you're able to track it beyond your head and then be able to grip it under your leg with so much momentum, and it's amazing. It was just an amazing catch. It's DeAndre Hopkins' better catch of the weekend for sure.
Well, Quay, I'm gonna agree with you there on the catch. Odell's was great, but as we all know, that's not his best catch. He has a catch that's
better catch.
Better than the one that Hopkins made yesterday. Although that Hopkins catch yesterday and Hopkins catch last year on Christmas against the Steelers, those are the two best I've seen since Odell. But Odell is still the best catch I've seen, and Hopkins might have two of the top 3 or top 5 that I've ever seen after Thursday, not yesterday. But anyway, Odell, what he did, he does it all the time. But I'm going to disagree with you there that Hopkins is number 2. I think Odell's still behind AB. He's a one of a kind player. I mean, Hopkins, in a way, you could say he's one of a kind as well. But he doesn't bring that game-breaking speed that Odell brings, where anytime he can catch a slant and go 80 yards over the middle to the house, or he can go deep, or he can make those crazy one-handed catches. As you saw, I mean, the catch Sal was going to pull up wasn't even that one that he showed. I had to tell him. There was a different catch he made earlier in the game on 3rd and 17 with a guy dragging him to the ground with one hand. So, I mean, he does it all the time. If you look at the tape, they're both amazing players. They're Hall of Fame talents, but Odell is the once-in-a-generation talent out of the two. He's got the numbers to prove it. Except for his year when he got injured last year, every single year he's done stuff that no one's ever done. I mean, about 41 touchdowns in like 55 career games now. Hopkins, he's got 42 in like 87 games. Julio's got like 43 in 96 games, something like that coming in the season. So I think, I mean, the ability to get into the end zone, even though he's not as big as Hopkins, from any point in the field is what separates him. You need points in football to win the game. You need a guy who can score from anywhere on the field and who's just going to make that catch for you. So I think Odell is still the number 2 receiver in the league, but Hopkins is clearly, if it wasn't clear before coming into this year, look at it now. He's surpassed Julio. He's number 3. Julio would be lucky to be number 4 on your list, but there's a man named Adam Thielen, and Mike Thomas and Devontae Adams too. They're coming. So, I mean, Julio, we're going to revisit the top 5, I'm sure, at some point soon.
Revisit the top 5.
I don't know if Julio's in my top 5. He's got to get in the end zone.
Definitely has to get the end zone.
So I'm definitely going with Jesus. I'm definitely going with Hopkins for the catch. He's definitely his catch was definitely better than Odell's, mainly because I don't understand how the ball doesn't even like pop out when he hits the ground. I mean, he tracks it on his leg in the air, yeah, but then he's got to hit the ground and keep control of the ball, and he's able to do that, which is just out of control. That's just great. Just a the strength that he's
Brutal
needed
ass
to hold onto that ball.
Never done before. Never been done.
No.
Never seen that before. And back to the number 2 situation, I'm definitely thinking that Hopkins is better. I'm putting Hopkins just slightly ahead of Odell at number 2 as the second best wide receiver. Honestly, anybody can play as his quarterback, and he's going to catch the ball. He's done it with like anybody playing quarterback. Brock Osweiler was his quarterback at one point. He was
Hold on, though, but can we look at his stats? Can we bring up his stats from like 2 years ago when he didn't have Deshaun Watson? He probably had like 70 catches, less than 1,000 yards. I mean, look what Odell's doing with Eli, who might be the worst starting quarterback in the league right now for my money. I mean, and look what he's putting up. His numbers this year. He's not nowhere near the targets. I don't know, but I don't want to hear about the targets. They're terrible targets. Look at these ducks he's throwing. He can't throw the ball more than 30 yards on the field now. And Odell's on pace for almost 1,600 yards. I'm just telling you, he does it himself. I mean, and Hopkins, too, has had terrible quarterbacks. I'm not saying he hasn't. He's got Watson now, and I'm happy for him. And look what he's doing. But when you compare the quarterback play now, that's a big advantage for Hopkins. But go on with your argument. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you make a good argument, but I'm sticking to my guns. I really do think Hopkins he's just slightly ahead. I'm not saying. I mean, they're two of the best wide receivers in the league. Having either one of these guys on your team, you're in a good spot. But my preference would definitely be Hopkins.
I don't
He's
know
got the size. That's for sure what he has on him is the size. That's all you can say.
I don't know what it is. It's for sure. I definitely say in terms of talent, I'm taking Odell. If we're talking about pure like wide receiver talent, I would take Odell because based off his athleticism, based off of the fact, I mean, he transcended the game because of his one-handed catch. You know, like he is a once-in-a-generation talent. But it's the argument I kind of always make when it comes to, you know, Randy Moss. Like, as crazy of a talent Randy Moss was, if you're asking me who would I would I choose Randy Moss over the likes of a Chris Carter, I personally wouldn't because Chris Carter had a more all-around game. No, that's me. No, that's personally me. That's personally me based off of that. And because and then also Randy is on record. I mean, I would definitely take Jerry Rice too, but Randy's on record of saying like, you know, I wouldn't go over he wouldn't want to go over the middle. And I mean, if we really look at Randy's tape, all of it was like, you know, deep routes, like, you know, goes and posts because you could just throw it to him. Where if he would have evolved his game even way more, we're talking about Randy Moss hands down being the greatest receiver to have ever lived in a game. Jerry Rice wasn't like a once-in-a-generation talent. He was a person who worked hard to get where he was and became like that number one. And that's the same thing where I look at Odell. I'm not saying like I haven't seen true evolution in his game or anything like that. But when I still see like, when I'm like seeing like all around package, there's something I want to choose. There's something about DeAndre Hopkins that makes me want to choose him a little bit more over Odell because I think a lot of Odell's has been the hype of his one catch, you know, that put him on the map pretty much. And also when I look at, you know, his like numbers, it's pretty much been consistent, but I haven't seen him take that next step. Like when we look at AB's numbers, AB went from like 1,200 to 1,500, then we had 1,800. You know, I want to see that next step in Odell before I say, you know, yes, he surpassed DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, it's a little hard to surpass like 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns in like 12 games as a rookie. But you're right, he hasn't. That was his best year to this point, I think, was his rookie. But every other year has been basically all pro level. I mean, even last year when he got hurt, he was
playing all pro, and I believe if he didn't get hurt, he probably would be number 2 in my book right now. But we need to finish off this season and see what next season brings to with a new quarterback because the Giants are not going to Eli.
I think it's a great debate, but I think it's also clear who number 1 is still.
Yeah.
AB in the league in TDs.
Absolutely.
The world, man.
Absolutely.
Tony Toe Tap. Let's call God.
Yeah.
Ask him where he at.
Well, yeah, I think all you guys make compelling arguments. I think when it comes to especially eye candy, especially the eye test, how flashy the catch was, I think the Hopkins on Thursday night under the, you know, between the legs has to win. But
For sure.
if we're gonna go, I don't know. For me, I would be more likely to attempt that Hopkins catch versus that Odell catch. He was going over the middle.
Yeah, and he came down and kept going. Those guys
Yeah.
didn't get him down.
Right. So it's like
Yeah.
for me, like if I'm a wide receiver, like that's a tough play
Because
to
somebody
make.
could have killed him over the
Whereas
middle.
like Hopkins was isolated, it was more like a one-on-one situation. It was like I said. I think when we talk about the catch itself, I think Hopkins is better. But like I'm actually kind of more impressed, like at that aspect of the Odell catch that he could have gotten rocked. Like
Odell's might have been more athletic. Hopkins was more just like
it was somewhat
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
acrobatic kind of in a way, but like Odell got up for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was great though.
I think the next step in terms of like a crazy catch is somebody doing something like DeAndre Hopkins, but staying up and taking it to the house. Like that would be ridiculous.
I don't even know how.
How does that happen?
I don't know how it would
You gotta
happen,
like
but
touch it and like not get touched or something.
Yeah,
What a
have to just
Something
get
crazy
up.
like that.
All right. Well, let's switch some sports. Let's move over to the NBA, and let's talk about some of the elite teams in the NBA. And today, the Bucks won against the Raptors. Both were undefeated going into this game, 124-109. And
Yeah.
Scuba Steve, you got the basketball, so you're gonna go first. Are the Milwaukee
Hey.
Bucks the best team in the NBA?
Whoa, I don't know about that. Hold your horses there, sir. But they might. Did you say the NBA? The
Yeah.
Warriors scored 149 tonight. I mean, that's not even a question. They
92
might
the
be
first half. Don't forget that.
Wow, they might be the best team in the East. They're 7-0. Okay, so they got the best record in the East right now. But I mean, everyone was picking pretty much the Celtics or the Sixers coming into the year. Some Raptors picks, and the Raptors were looking like early, like they were legit and they were going to be that team to beat. But tonight we had the matchup of the two 6-0 teams, which apparently has never happened in NBA history. Two teams with a record of 6-0 or better meeting in the season. And who was it? It was the Bucks and the Raptors. And so not exactly the most marquee game with the Greek Freak sitting out, concussion protocol still, and Kawhi Leonard sitting out his first game due to rest. So that's why, if you're wondering why the Raptors lost their first game by 15, that's a big reason why. But, I mean, the Bucks are legit. They're for real. Obviously, if they can win against a great Raptors team without Giannis playing, I mean, they showed earlier Silva stepped up, and Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon, those really, really underrated guards, they stepped up as well. So, I mean, they're deep. They got, great players, and so do the Raptors. So that's why I've been high on the Raptors too. I mean, the Celtics obviously could come out of the East, but I still think it's going to be the Raptors just with Kawhi. He's better than anyone else in that conference now. Kyle Lowry as your second best player, you can't ask for much more than that. And a guy like Valanciunas as the center. I mean, he's just so efficient there, and just other good players as well. So, but the Bucks, to answer your question, are legit, but not the best team in the league.
Yeah, what you think, Guru?
All right, so I definitely don't think that either one of the teams are the best team in the Eastern Conference. I'm definitely going to say that Boston's still the cream of the crop when it comes to the Eastern Conference. It's early in the season, and I get your groove, especially Boston bringing in two guys who haven't played a lot of games together, bringing together a new team. But the Raptors and the Bucks are definitely really, really good teams, especially the Raptors. I mean, they were a 51-win team last year, and they swapped DeRozan for Kawhi. And Kawhi the dude's a stud. He's probably one of the best two-way players in the league. He's super efficient. One of the best on-ball defenders in the league, maybe the best on-ball defender in the league. He can shoot the three now at a high percentage. And then the rest of the team, I love Kyle Lowry. He's one of my favorite guards in the league. He's always been one of my favorite guards in the league because he's just a tough dude. He can score it in multiple different ways, and he defends well as well. And I like the
Jalen Ramsey.
yeah, he does.
So you get points for that.
He does kind of like
his-
Jalen.
His
His cousins.
Kyle's body's looking better. He's lost some weight. He's
Yeah.
looking good. As well, I mean, the Bucks are a young team, coached well. The Greek Freak is one of the best players in the world. So I mean, both of these teams are definitely up and rising teams. Both these teams are looking better than the Sixers. I know Kev's gonna hate that,
True.
but I would definitely I definitely can't wait to see what both these teams have for us later on in the season, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much to be said off of, what you guys just said. Best team in the NBA. No, I mean, we just saw tonight, Warriors. I mean, like I said, they dropped 92 in the first half, with Clay having a historic night. The Bucks are, they're playing at a high level. Raptors as well. If we're talking about the East, these are the two best teams in the East right now. I know coming into the season, we were talking about the Celtics, 76ers. Pretty much, most people were thinking that was a unanimous, team. Both of those teams coming out the East potentially. But right now, as we see, Milwaukee and the Raptors have been playing very well, very good basketball. Milwaukee is coached very well. They're a young team, lots of length. Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA right now. If we're talking about two-way players, he is probably arguably top 5 right now. He still needs to add more to his shot for sure, but that guy literally has all the tools to definitely be in that top 3 discussion one of these days. And with the Raptors, I really like the addition of Kawhi. Wasn't sure if Kawhi was going to buy in fully when he first got in, but he's really bought into the team. Kyle Lowry has been playing very well. He's on my fantasy basketball team, and definitely liking the production there. And even in their very well coached team as well. I didn't like the firing of Dwayne Casey. Last season. I guess it was technically time. The guy kept running into LeBron. I mean, that was his bad luck. So I don't necessarily think that was his fault, but I guess the organization thought it was time, even though I didn't agree. But they're still a very well coached team on offense and defense. Serge Ibaka's having a resurgence this year. I think that move to the center position has really helped him out a lot. But yeah, if we're talking about teams in the East, these are definitely the 2 teams to look out for. I don't think we should forget about the Celtics or 76ers. It's still early. Anything can happen. But, going back to the original question, is Milwaukee the best team in the NBA right now at 7-0? Nah, I think it still belongs to the Warriors based off of tonight and based off of, just the overall roster. It's the Warriors. It's always going to be the Warriors until someone takes their throne.
All right. Well, let's stay within the NBA, but let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about the crazy night that the Warriors had. Speaking of the best team in the NBA. So, looks like Klay Thompson just broke a record. 14 3-pointers made in their rout the Chicago Bulls, 149-124. The previous record holder was Steph Curry at 13. I believe it was last year, November 2016, during the regular season.
That was 2 years ago, so it's 2018.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years.
Get into the present. Stop living in the past.
So yeah, my question to you guys is: could Klay Thompson carry a team if he does decide to leave Golden State as a free agent?
Well, I'm gonna go into this, and while I think he can, I think I want to say no, given certain things about Klay Thompson in his game. Tonight's performance is amazing. I mean, this isn't the only time we've seen Klay get hot like this. When he drops 60, the guy can literally just shoot threes just as well as Steph. The guy's uber efficient when it comes to shooting his 3-pointer. I believe he's been shooting over 40% since he came into the league, which is very impressive. I actually believe in terms of shooting guard, I believe he is the second best shooting guard in the league. I know a lot of people want to argue DeRozan, potentially, but I think Klay's 3 and defensive game is better than DeRozan's, and that eclipses him for that. But I don't think necessarily he could carry a team by himself, due to, we're in game 7, game 8, game 9 for some teams, and I mean, Clay coming in was actually the worst 3-point shooter coming into tonight's game. I believe he was at 14%, 3-point shooting. Very, very unheard of when it comes to Clay. Tonight, he goes off for 14 threes and can't remember the final stat line, but very efficient. I believe he was over 50% and those are good. But when it comes to a person who is predicated by shooting, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. So Clay's game, is very dependent on someone who can really pass the ball to him, very flashy, and also I think looking at his mentality, Clay doesn't. He always talks about he never wants to leave Golden State. I don't think that's to say that he doesn't have the mentality to lead a team himself, but to not potentially want to take on that challenge, to be that max player, speaks a little bit of volumes to his mentality of a player. When we look at DeRozan, like I said, he's arguably the second best shooting guard in the league, but there's nothing that really jumps off to me in terms of his want and that fire and behind him to really take him to the next level. And I think that can be Clay's problem if he were to lead a team himself. So while I think it's possible, I think with those flaws, I think it may be better with his situation that he has in Golden State to be the second, third option, and be that super efficient player.
Time out, wait, didn't he just drop 52 points in 27 minutes?
I mean,
is that what happened?
That's what happened, but
Did he score 37 in a quarter? Has he done that?
That's what
anyone
happened.
Else? No one's ever done that. Not even Wilt. Okay, this guy can shoot the lights out of the gym better than anyone except for his teammate. I mean, he's that good. He's the best. I mean, he's one of the best of all time 3-point shooters. I mean, maybe top 5 already. We know his teammate is. We know Ray Allen is. We know Reggie Miller is. But who else are you putting after that top 3? I mean, he might be there already after another night like this. I mean, it's incredible what he does. And no, he doesn't create his own shot because he doesn't have to right now. He's got the guys on the team that do it for him. And if he goes to another team, I mean, even if he is the only star, it's the NBA. I'm assuming they're going to have a point guard capable of finding him the ball. I mean, and he doesn't need much time to get that release off and just – it's probably the prettiest jump shot in the game for my money. And the other thing we got to remember about him is we talk about two-way players like Kawhi, like Giannis. He's one of the best two-way players in the league too, and that might not be the flashiest thing if he's going to be a max player at a new team and be the franchise player. But I think most franchises want their franchise player to be a star defender and a star two-way player. And he's, along with Draymond Green, he is the Warriors' key lockdown defender. I mean, Kevin Durant's become a great, great defender too. But the core of the Warriors winning those first championships probably wouldn't happen without his defense, not just his three-point shooting. So, no, he's not a great ball handler or going to create a nice crossover to get to the lane. But, I mean, he's efficient. He's an efficient driver because he's got that three-point shot. They have to respect it as soon as he steps in the gym. And, yeah, like I said, I mean, he dropped 52 in 27 minutes with a headband on because he had to get 2 stitches. He's a warrior. As we said in the lead-up, he's a warrior, a true warrior. He might not have that fire and intensity that some of the ball players do. But, hey, I mean, not everybody is the same. He's a reserved cat, but he comes to play, and he's one of the best shooters of all time, one of the best scorers in the game, and he's just a great player. I believe he probably will be gone after this year, and we're going to get to see it. He's going to take over a new franchise and really be a star in this league.
Klay Thompson is technically, in my opinion, has the best technical jump shot ever to play in the league.
I agree.
The way he shoots the ball is the exact same every single time he shoots the ball. No other jump shooter or no other three-point shooter in the history of the game you can say that about. Maybe Ray Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ray Allen, he's the only other guy.
Yeah.
I mean, every single balance in the shot looks the same. That being said, Klay Thompson, in my opinion, can easily lead a team or be second team and lead them to the playoffs or even to a championship. If he ends up leaving, I can see him going to a contender, or I don't see him going to a team that has nobody on it. I just don't see that happening. But I would see him going to a contender or to a team like maybe the Rockets, who are terrible right now. I mean, the dude scored 60 points and took 11 dribbles. That's out of that's absolutely insane. 11 dribbles. 11. He held the ball for 90 seconds in the game, scored 60 points. That's absolutely insane. So, I mean, the dude can play. He can absolutely play. And I don't see any team would be happy to have him. I think he's the heart and soul of what the Warriors do. And Steph is really good. Obviously, KD is their best player. But Clay is the heart and soul that keeps them into games. I mean, he can go for 30 at any second in a quarter. So I definitely agree with Steve here, and I think he could lead a squad for sure.
What would his final stat line be for a season if he carried a team?
Not gonna be 26, 8, and 8 like you said. He's not.
That was just, I was throwing a number out there. I was asking, could it be 26?
I'll tell you this: his career averages will go up. It'll be above that. I would say, depending what team and what circumstance, but I would just throw this out there. I think he gets to 26, 5 and 4 maybe. Kobe like numbers, career Kobe, not peak Kobe, but 26, 5 and 4.
Yeah, nah.
He's in his prime.
26, 5 and 4 sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I mean, if he does leave, though, where do you guys think he would go? What team do you think he would mesh well with?
I mean,
LA.
I mean, with that shot, that fire, he get hot. Bring him to the Heat. That's my own personal, because I'm a Heat fan. That's my own personal choice. But no, I think potentially LA. He would definitely go to a contender. Josh, what you said to the Rockets. I mean, they lost a lot on defense, and we see that. He would definitely help out. I mean, could you imagine him and Harden together? I mean, Harden break somebody down, drive to the lane, kick out. I mean, it's crazy. There's a lot that you can do with those two together. But I think LA. Also think the Rockets would be a good choice as well. But I think overall he's probably going to more likely, stay with the Warriors. But we'll see what happens.
Think he takes a pay cut to do that?
I think he takes a pay cut to do it. He says he's comfortable.
I don't think that happens.
He's comfortable. KD's the one that's not going to be there.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be there either.
Yeah, KD's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well.
Maybe they both go to LA.
No.
Maybe they both go to the Knicks. What about that?
Ooh, but what about Kyrie?
Back to New York. I would like to see the Knicks get relevant again.
That'd be crazy.
That would be too crazy. You got those two. Jeez.
Yeah, that would be insane.
That would be insane. You got Port.
Nah, but they'll go to different teams, I would think.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's the end of our segment where we talk about stuff. So now at the end of the show, we always go into what we call the Spiel, where I ask all the panelists, what they want to highlight about the sports world. It could be about anything. So yeah, let's start off with Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve, what's the Spiel, man?
Spiel is something I've been spieling about on here for a long time and off the airwaves here too, to anyone who will listen to me, about Steelers running back situation and what they need to do with it going forward. They need to forget about Le'Veon Bell. He's not there. If he's coming back, who cares? Just leave him on the bench or leave him back at the airport, wherever they go to. They don't need him. They got a guy named James Conner who is a more effective player when it comes to winning football games. You know why? Because he's an old school power runner. He hits the hole. He hits the second level, and he runs you over. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is going to stand in the backfield. He's the most unique runner we have ever seen one of the most talented players we've ever seen, but he's going to stand in the backfield, wait for that hole to open up, and dance through it, and make a couple guys miss, and make some pretty plays happen, and catch 80 passes. He's an amazing all-pro player. Okay, so what? I mean, he's a great player. But look at what you're doing right now with James Conner. You're breaking teams down in the second half. 3 straight games with 100-plus yards and 2+ touchdowns. So I'm going to keep this short. I know it's the spiel. But I just want to say, Steelers, I mean, bringing back Le'Veon Bell as the starting running back should not be an option at this point. I mean, at most it should be a timeshare. But if I'm in charge, honestly, I mean, they're a one-back team when Le'Veon was around. And unless James Conner needs a breather, hey, bring Le'Veon in or line him up at receiver. Don't put him in the backfield more than a few snaps a game. It should be James Conner's backfield for now and for the future.
I like it.
All right. Well,
Crazy.
Real Sports
I
Guru.
don't disagree with the spiel there.
Real Sports Guru. What's the spiel, man? What's been on your mind?
All right, so I'm going to keep it NBA, and we talked a little bit about the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and I'm going to the Western Conference. I'm calling it the Wild Wild West.
Wild West.
So I'm just gonna talk about all the teams honestly a little bit.
I thought.
So right now we got the Warriors #1 in the conference. Now it's very interesting to see where all the other teams are ranked at in the Western Conference. Right now, the third team in the West is the San Antonio Spurs. Who would have thought that they were even in the conversation? They're playing very well. I mean, they have the best coach in basketball, Greg Popovich. They switched some things around. They switched Kawhi for DeRozan, and it's working for them. Utah, my guys, at #4. But then we got some other interesting teams. We got the Clippers currently sitting at #7, which I didn't see them competing at all for any games, but they're playing better than the other LA team. The Lakers at #11. We all know how I feel about the Lakers. And then the team I really want to talk about is Houston. Houston is playing really bad basketball right now. They are currently the 14th team in the Western Conference. They have 1 win. They got rid of Ariza. They got rid of Bahamute. And now they don't know how to play defense, and they don't know how to score the ball. Earlier last week to trade 4 first-round picks to get Jimmy Butler, and it didn't work. So I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, I think they're really in a bad spot. They can't guard. They can't score as efficiently as they did last year. They paid a bunch of money for their center, and now he's not performing up to par, which forced them to get rid of Ariza and Bahamute. So I'm not sure what's going on with them. Also, OKC is the 13th team. And these are 2 teams that everyone thought would be the second or third team in the Western Conference. So the Wild Wild West is going to be an interesting thing to watch this season. So definitely keep your eyes on the Western Conference in the NBA. Always crazy, but this year is definitely going to be even crazier. And that's the spiel.
That's the spiel from Real Sports Guru. So LotusTile, he has his own spiel that we do weekly. That's how good his spiel is. We gotta do it every week.
Yeah, do it every week.
And we call it Black Belly's picks.
Black Belly's waiver wonders.
Black Belly's
Which Sal did not pay attention to. Thank you, Quinn. Shout out Marlon Mack giving Sal the beatdown, and Sal had the higher waiver priority. All right, I thought for sure when Quay mentioned him last time I was screwed, but I got him. Big win, baby.
Yeah, well, LotusTile
I'm
over
glad
here.
the pick worked. I'm glad the pick
LotusTile
worked.
over here helping enemies
I know.
with this Black Belly pick. He caused one of our league leaders to get a lot of points with that Marlon Mack. But yeah, so we had Marlon Mack last week, who seems like really panned out for some of our viewers.
Oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
what do you have this week for us, Black Belly?
So guys, I mean, this week for the Black Belly waiver wonders, lots of good picks out there. There were a lot of good guys that popped off the screen this weekend, and it looks like they're going to really, really make some strides going forward. First, I want to mention one of my favorite guys out there, Larry Fitzgerald. He is available in a lot of leagues. A lot of people were unhappy with his production in the first 7-8 weeks of the season, and that is definitely warranted. He wasn't really getting the looks. Sam Bradford was looking anemic out there, and then Josh Rosen, he's a young guy, but with the firing of Mike McCoy and the Byron Leftwich enshrined as the offensive coordinator, he went off for 8 receptions, 102 yards, and a touchdown. And believe that Larry Fitzgerald is back. He is definitely back. He's going to be a focal point in that offense. And Christian Kirk is going to help him out even more. We even saw David Johnson get utilized even more in different ways. He wasn't just a hammer up the middle for 3 and 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Larry Fitzgerald is going to stand out going forward. So if he is available, I would definitely go out and try to grab him. Another pick that I'm looking at here is David Moore for the Seattle Seahawks. Emerging wide receiver. He's had a touchdown in the past 4 weeks. A touchdown every single game. In the last game, he had 4 receptions, 93 yards, and a touchdown. He is clearly their number 2 receiver. They're starting to use Doug and Lockett more so in the slot, but he's playing that outside receiver role a lot more. Russ is looking for him in the red zone. And like I said, that's 4 touchdowns in 4 weeks. Definitely a guy you want to go grab. Another guy from the Seahawks I want to mention, Ed Dickson, made his season return this year. Tight end has been a very, very rough position of fantasy for some of those out there. I'm pretty sure you know. Even for me, I got lucky. Somehow O.J. Howard was out there, and I was able to get him, and he's really been helping out a lot. But Ed Dickson came in, scored a touchdown, opening in his first week back. We all know that Russ does love to look for big targets in the end zone. He looked for Luke Wilson. He looked for Jimmy Graham in the red zone. Ed Dickson, he is their starting tight end, so he's going to get those looks there. So if you need a tight end, somebody to look out for. And I'm going to go to running back now. Peyton Barber. I know I mentioned Ronald Jones. That's because he's making strides and he was getting a lot of the reps in practice, but guy can't stay healthy. That was the reason why he didn't have the job going forward before the season started. And Peyton Barber showed that he, has a hold of that running back position. 19 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. And with Fitzmagic back at the helm, and he's doing all his Fitzmagic, teams are going to want to try to stop that passing game. It's just going to open more run lanes. So definitely opens up for Peyton Barber, to definitely score some points this week. So if he's out there, grab him. We're going to take it back to the Colts, after mentioning Marlon Mack. Another guy we want to mention is Nyheim Hines. If you're looking for a nice flex, the guy is good to start. In terms of, he's their third down back. Most times during passing downs, he is definitely getting the catches. Andrew Luck is looking for check downs. Most of the time, he's not looking for that deep ball. I don't know if it's the shoulder. I think the Colts are trying to control more games because they don't really have much in receiver besides T.Y. Hilton. So look for Nyheim because it'll also take some of that pressure off of Marlon Mack as well. And my number one for belly waiver wonder pick is DJ Moore. The guy has emerged as of last week. 5 receptions, 90 yards. I know those stats does not pop off, but in the past few weeks that he has been starting, Cam has been looking for him, and he's been looking like the better receiver than Torrey Smith. So if he is out there and available, as he is in most leagues, definitely a guy you want to go ahead and go after. But those are my 6 black belly waiver wonder picks for the week. And before I end my segment, I want to talk about 2 defensive players in this season that have been really well. I know this is supposed to be a quick segment, but I have to mention these 2 defensive players, Jair Alexander and Denzel Ward. I want to mention these 2 guys because the game has been so predicated on offense. We've been talking about the Patrick Mahomes of the league. We've been talking about Carson Wentz, all these quarterbacks, all these receivers. And, it seems like defense has been taking a back seat due to all the rules and things like that. But I want to point out these guys' play. Jair Alexander, that guy, I mentioned him earlier, I believe in our first episode of the Spiel.
You did.
And that guy has really, really been stepping up.
Incredible.
He's clearly Green Bay's best corner. I was very high on him coming out. He doesn't have the picks to stand out. He only has 1 interception. But last game against a shootout against a high-powered Rams offense, I believe he had 5 deflections. The guy was all over the place, glued to receivers. And I'm telling you, if he keeps this play up, he is definitely going to be one of the top young cornerbacks in the league. And also Denzel Ward. I mean, can we mention game 1 against AB? I mean, AB killed it, but he still had 2 picks. The guy's been crazy. Guy has he has a forced fumble. He's a playmaker. He's a turnover machine. He is glued to receivers as well. Part of the reason why that Browns defense has been doing very well. These are 2 candidates for me, like I said, for defensive rookies of the year. They play very hard. Their level is already at veteran level to me, the way they've been playing. And
they're both Pro Bowlers this year,
I think so too. And I mean, we're looking at great young talent at the cornerback position. Like I said, these 2 are going to be the top 5 cornerbacks going forward in the league, you know, as they start to mature and get better and hone their craft. But that is my spiel. Sorry it was a little bit longer, but I had to mention those. I had to mention those 2 guys.
It's okay.
Gotta get it out.
And a lot of your viewers are, or a lot of our viewers are really happy that you guys are, you know, you're giving them little hints out there for those fantasy fans.
I hope no one in the league's watching.
Yeah, no.
I'm submitting those waiver wires
right now.
Right now.
I actually picked up DJ Moore, but that's because I'm biased. I'm biased. He played for Maryland, so.
Let me throw another fish out there. Devontae Parker, and that tail in orange.
More fishes.
More fish. Well, I'm gonna give my spiel too. It is my show. It's a Muslims the Spiel show on twitch.tv/It's a Muslim. If you haven't already, man, make sure you hit that follow button. We're still on the road to 50, trying to get to 50 followers. Once we get to 50, we'll get to affiliate. Once we get to affiliate, we can do big things. So
let's do these
make
big
sure
things,
you
guys.
hit that button. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay anything. Help me out by following me if you enjoy the show. If you enjoy the show, man, let your friends know about it. We have a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you guys have a lot of fun watching it. So, finale. It's the spiel. It's a Muslim. What do I have to talk about? I don't even know. Actually, you guys do know. If you guys been watching the Twitch channel, you know exactly what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Canada road trip that the Pittsburgh Penguins had, where we were dominant. We beat Toronto, one of the top teams in the league, 3-0. Then we beat the Oilers in overtime, 6-5. And then we went over to Calgary, close to the West Coast, 9-1, guys. And then we finish off that road stand. The Canucks, won 5-0 on my birthday weekend. So we're 6-1-2, first in the Metropolitan Division, 4-game win streak, doing big things. We have 2 losses against the Canadiens, and we did lose against Toronto, the Maple Leafs. So Evgeny Malkin, number 1 in the league in terms of points per game with 1.44. He's not the point leader, but he is the average leader. So that one's pretty cool. And come on, guys, we gotta watch it again. We gotta watch the reaction again. We just got
the Twitch clip.
We gotta watch the Twitch clip.
Yes.
We gotta watch the Twitch clip. So,
are we gonna see the actual goal too afterward?
We will. So I'm gonna show you guys the little Twitch clip. This is live, legit live. When we were on the Twitch channel the other day.
In the Malkin jersey.
All right, I feel good, man.
In the Malkin jersey.
Blue track shot in DC here.
Ooh, where?
Oh no!
That's a little hot.
Oh my god.
Come on.
Yeah. You might have to watch this. Oh.
Sounds not working on it.
What happened?
So you
Hate to see it.
He was like,
hate to see it. I want to see it so bad. I made the clip. I love this clip.
And then he went behind his legs to deep it.
Did you tell me it was one of the...
That was crazy. You guys didn't see the clip?
We saw it. We couldn't hear it. They won't let us listen.
It's all good.
Man.
Well, here is the goal itself, guys.
I hope it was on the actual Twitch.
Cook. Look at that, cooking. Oof. Still the best player in the game.
Still the best.
Still the best
in the league. That is the captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins there, guys.
Sid the Kid,
man, killing it, doing it big. So, Well, that's the show, man. That's the spiel, and that's it. And I just wanted to talk about our teams doing well. So at least the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, just the spiel is my own personal take on the sports world, and you know what's dear to me. And I know a lot of us, you know, out there in America, the NHL is not as popular as it used to be. So, you know, I think players like Sidney Crosby, players like Connor McDavid, you know, those players, hopefully they can bring, you know, this new generation of NHL fans to come and watch them. So,
For sure.
yeah. So, to the viewers, thanks again for watching. We hope to see you next week. Same time as always, around 8:30. We had to do a little bit late just because the game ended a little late and there were some crazy things happening in the NBA today. So we wanted to make sure that we touched on all those topics. And we'll make sure we always bring the hottest topics to talk about. And we'll make sure we bring you the spiel so that you guys are in tune in sports, man. So till next time, I'll see you guys later. This is It's a Muslim signing out. Thanks to my panelists, Real Sports Guru, Scuba Steve, LotusTile, and
Peace.
Thanks to the viewers again, man. We wouldn't do this if it weren't for you guys. So peace.
Frosted Flakes with the tiger. Makeshift lunch like MacGyver. Dog, bet your girl act like a liar.